Hey guys, welcome back to another edition in geometry. I'm Mr. A. Welcome. We're in chapter 3, section 1 today. So let's get started. All right, today we're going to talk about parallel lines and transversals. And I'll talk about that in a moment. First of all, our objectives. We want to identify the relationships between two lines or two planes. And secondly, we want to name angle pairs formed by parallel lines and transversals. Okay. All right. First of all, let's talk about some different types of lines. Okay. So let's start here with parallel lines. We're probably pretty familiar with that. So this shouldn't be so bad. But the key here is that parallel lines are coplanar. Okay. So parallel lines are going to be in the same plane, and they do not intersect. And you're probably familiar with that. So if you see over to the side here, we've got two parallel lines. The key thing here that you might not have seen before, this is really important. See these little two red arrows here? These arrows, when they draw them on two lines like this, that's an indication that you have parallel lines. Okay, so that's how in these diagrams they show you that two lines are parallel. They draw the little arrows. Okay, so this is an example. JK and LM are parallel lines, and again, I don't think we've hit it yet this year, but when you draw two lines up and down like this, this is the symbol for parallel. So JK, line JK is parallel to line LM. Remember, our perpendicular symbol was kind of an upside down T. So this is two lines straight up and down mean parallel. Okay, so parallel lines, not too bad. This is where it gets a little harder. You might not have heard of this before, but skew lines, okay? All right, so what's similar about parallel and skew lines? First of all, they don't intersect, okay? Notice parallel lines do not cross. They do not intersect. Also, skew lines do not intersect. However, the difference is that parallel lines are on the same plane. Skew lines are not coplanar. Okay, so they are on different planes. So they don't cross, but they also are not in the same plane. So if you think of it this way, if you have like two parallel lines like this, okay, they're on that same plane. They're on this plane that goes straight up and down, but they don't cross. Skew lines, basically, if you think about it this way, like turn one of these lines so it goes like this. So they're still not crossing, but now they're not on the same plane anymore because this one is on a plane going this way and this one's on a plane going that way. Okay, so a little bit difficult concept there, but if you look at the little diagram here, you notice these two planes are what they call looks like these planes are parallel planes here. And so parallel planes are planes that do not intersect. And so parallel planes here like A and B, plane A and plane B, are parallel, and the lines that are in them are skew. Okay? All right, let's look at a few examples, see if that helps you a little bit. All right, example 1A. Name all segments that's parallel to BC. All right, so let's find BC first of all. So here's C and here's B. So this is the line we're talking about right here. I'll try to draw that best I can. That's the line that we're talking about. So we want to find all the segments that are parallel to that, okay? And you can look kind of in many different directions. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to say, well, what this line CB, it's in this plane off to the right edge here. Well, here's another line that's parallel to it in this plane, which is FG. So we would say line segment FG is parallel. So that's this line right here. All right, what else? Well, now if we look at CB, what other kind of a plane is it in? It's in this plane to the right, or to the left, I'm sorry. To the left. And so if you look over here, here's a line, DA. That is parallel to CB or BC as well. So DA is also. A lot of times that's not too hard for most people, but the hardest one, there's one more. And the reason why it's hard is because in this cube, there is not a plane that is drawn that shows both of these. But think about if there was a plane that kind of cut right through crosswise through this cube, and then if you look in the back here, this line here, EH, would be parallel as well. Even though there's not a plane drawn there that shows that, but since these are straight up and down, they are in a plane that cuts across that sideways. So EH would also be parallel. Okay. Okay, hopefully that's not too bad. Let's look at the next thing. What about lines in this same figure but that intersect BC? Okay, so we looked at the lines that were parallel, which meant they did not intersect. Well, what lines would intersect CB? Well, okay, so again, here's CB, this line right here. What would intersect with that? Well, if you look, hey, here's CF going sideways, right? CF touches it there, so that's intersecting. So CF, what else? You could say this line here, DC. DC intersects. Okay, where else? Oh, maybe down on the bottom here. Hey, here's one, BG. Can you think of another one there? What was that? Ah, good, AB. Okay, this one right here, AB. So that also intersects. Okay, so we got 4 different ones that intersect there. We talked about the parallel lines or line segments. All right, now let's talk about the segments in this that are skew to BC. Okay, this is where it gets a little tougher. Okay, we're talking about skew. So again, here's BC. We've already mentioned. Let's do this. Okay, I'm going to change to red here. So here's the ones that we've mentioned already, right? We said this red one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. Those red lines there all intersect, right? Okay, this is going to be fun. Watch, I'm going to change it again. Let's go with, how about green? I hardly ever use green. All right, we also then, here's a green one. Here's a green one. That's hard to see back there. And here's one back here. Okay, those green ones were parallel. Okay, so the green ones were parallel. The red ones were intersecting. And let's look then, I'll change it to one more color here. How about orange? Ooh, orange. I've never used orange before. All right, so on this, what's left in this? Okay, what's left should be the lines that are skew. So what have we not used? We have not used DE. So if you look, DE is in a plane going this way. CB is in a plane going up and down. So these are not in the same plane, but they are never going to cross, are they? This one's going to keep going straight up. This one's going to keep going sideways. So ED is skew. What else? Well, EF would also be skew. Because again, that's going to go sideways. That's in this plane going this way, and this is in a plane going up and down. So those are not going to cross. And then there's a couple more here. I'm going to call it HA. Ha! Because that's more fun. And then HG would also be skew. Okay? So you can kind of see the red ones intersect with BC, the green ones are parallel, and then the orange ones are skew. Hopefully that helps a little bit seeing the different colors. Okay. Last example, 1D. Name a plane parallel to ABG, and so if you look down here, ABG, remember we name a plane by 3 points on it, so that's this one down here, this bottom one. And so what is parallel to that? What plane is parallel to that? And we could say what plane, what up here, let's call it DEF. Okay, so plane DEF, this up here is parallel to it. Okay, Pretty easy. All right, next. Okay, here we're getting to some stuff here. All right. In this situation, we're talking about what they call transversal angle pairs. All right, what a transversal is, it's if you have two lines, and you notice here you've got line Q and line R, a transversal is a line that just cuts across both of those lines. So line T here is the transversal line, okay? So that's the line that cuts across these two other lines, and it makes a bunch of angles here, as you notice. Well, what we're going to do is we have names for all these different angles, these pairs of angles. We have names for them, okay? So let's kind of walk through here and get you used to these. First of all, they break these down into interior and exterior angles. So if you notice here, they've done it nicely in color. So interior is just all the angles that are in between the two lines, okay? So the two lines that are not the transversal, everything in between those are interior. So 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all interior. They're in this green area. Exterior are all the angles that are outside of the two lines, okay? So 1, 2, 7, and 8 in the blue area out here. All right, so now we kind of match some of these up. So consecutive interior angles, okay? So if it says consecutive interior, both pairs, you're going to have two angles that go together here. Interior, they're both going to be interior if it says interior, okay? So consecutive, what does consecutive mean? You might have heard before like something like, hey, give me 2 or 3 consecutive integers. Well, 3 consecutive integers would be like 2, 3, 4, or 4, 5, 6. They're all right in a row. And so consecutive interior angles are angles that are right in a row, or right next to each other. So for example, but they're going to be on the key here though is that they're on the same side of the transversal line. So for example, 4 and 5 are consecutive interior. Angle 4 right here and angle 5. Okay, those are right next to each other. They're both interior and they're on the same side of the transversal line. And then also 3 and 6 are a pair there. So 3 here and 6 there, because again, they're on the same side and interior right next to each other. All right, next one is alternate interior angles. Okay, so alternate interior angles, I'm going to change my color again here. So, oh man, I don't even know what I did there. Oh, I went to a highlighter. All right, so let's go back to blue, I guess. All right, so alternate interior angles. Okay, but again, it says interior, so they both have to be interior. What does alternate mean? It means kind of like across, back and forth, right? Or alternate, it's like on different sides or whatever. So alternate interior angles mean they're the angles that are both interior but are on the opposite sides across from each other. So like, for example, here 3 and 5, I'm doing this in blue, those are alternate interior. They're on opposite sides and across the other, on the other line there. Also 4 and 6, and so here's 4 and 6 then are also alternate interior angles. Okay, so they're both on the inside, but on the other side of the transversal and across on the other line there as well. Okay, next we've got alternate exterior angles. Okay, now it says exterior. This means they both have to be exterior. All right, and if you can kind of think back to what happened with alternate here, the same thing's going to happen here with alternate exterior angles. So that means they have to be both exterior and alternate. Well, what would that mean? That would seem like maybe 2 and 8 down here would be alternate exterior. Okay, they go across on the opposite sides and they're exterior, so 2 and 8, but also 7 and 1 there as well. They're also alternate exterior angles. Okay, and then finally the last pairs here are what they call corresponding. All right, corresponding, you notice it doesn't say interior or exterior. Okay, so the clue here is when it's interior, they're both interior. When it says exterior, they're both exterior. When it just says corresponding, it doesn't say interior or exterior. That means there's going to be one of both. Okay, there's going to be one of both. So what does corresponding mean? Corresponding basically just means, like the way I like to think of it is, it's kind of like if you think about in your neighborhood and you go over, like say your house is on the corner. Let's say angle 2 right here. That's on the corner of the block. Like here's two streets that come together. But if you go the next street over, the person that's on that corner, so that would be angle 6 there. So 2 and 6 are what they call corresponding. Notice one is outside and one's inside. But it's like just the next block over, the corner house, the next block over. So 2 and 6 are considered corresponding. Also 1 and 5. Because one's outside, one's inside, but they're on the same side of that transversal line. And then 4 and 8 are, and 3 and 7. So again, they're one's inside, one's outside, but they're on the same side of that transversal line. Okay, a lot to think about there, but let's do a couple of examples. All right, so example 2A. Let's classify the relationship between 2 and 6. Okay, and here's our choices. But if we look here, 2 and 6, what do we got? Here's 2 and here's 6. Okay, so what would we call those angles compared to each other? Well, remember, like all of this in here, that's all interior, and out here is exterior, right? So outside of the two. So one's inside and one's outside. So, well, there's only one choice then. It's not going to be interior, exterior, or interior. It's the only thing it can be is what we just talked about was corresponding. Okay, so those have to be corresponding angles. Okay, next one. All right, how about 1 and 7 now? All right, so now we've got 1 and 7. Okay, so again, remember, this is interior, exterior, and exterior. Okay, so where are these angles? They're both outside. They're both exterior, right? So what that means is, actually, if you look at it, kind of narrow this down, our choices are interior, corresponding, or interior. It's not going to be any of those, is it? The only thing we can have is what? Alternate exterior. So again, both these angles are exterior and they're alternate, so that means they're on opposite sides there. So this would be alternate exterior. All right. So alternate exterior angles. All right. Now what about 3 and 8? Okay, let's look at 3 and 8. Here's 3. Here's 8. All right, so hopefully now you're getting pretty good at figuring out which is interior and exterior. And if you notice, 3 and 8 are both, wow, that's a bad eye there, but interior. Okay, they're both interior, right? Well, all right, we got a choice here. Are they alternate interior or are they consecutive interior? What do you think? Well, remember, consecutive interior means like right next to each other on the same side. So these would be consecutive interior angles. All right, I think one more here, 3 and 5. What about 3 and 5? Well, again, you should probably look and say, hey, these are both interior. So my choices are, if they're both interior, are either alternate interior or consecutive interior. And you go, hey, these are on opposite sides of the transversal, so that would make them alternate interior. Okay. All right, good. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit better with that. All right, last one and we're done. All right. A little complicated here, but what we're going to do is look at all, it's not quite as easy, simple diagram as what we just did, but let's look at find the transversal or the line that's going to connect 1 and 2. Well, here's 1 and here's 2. And so what line goes through both of those? Again, the line that makes both is part of angle 1 and part of angle 2, that's the transversal line. Okay, and so what line is that? If you look here, here is line V. That makes up part of angle 2, and it also makes up part of angle 1. So first of all, the transversal is line V. Okay, it's line V is the transversal. And so if that's the transversal, this line X and line S, that's like your two lines there. And so look at angle 1 and angle 2. Are they both interior or both exterior or one of both? Well, if you look, again, I'm just going to do this, like I'm going to extend line S here just to make it look more like we had it before. Well, if you notice that and you extend line V, well, this is interior and out here is exterior and exterior. And so we got one angle that's interior and one angle that's exterior. So you remember what you call those? Just next block over, corner house, that's corresponding. So those are corresponding angles. All right, great. Okay, so there's a little bit about different types of angles and how we classify them. Hope that helped a little bit. We will see you next time in section 3.2 when we're going to talk a little bit more about these type of things and get a little bit more specific even than what we did today. So until then, this is Mr. A signing off. Bye.